G'day guys. So today's video we are going to be looking at the OS GGT 15cc petrol gasoline engine. This is was a bit of a spur of the moment buy, and I got it for a good reason. But what we'll do first, guys, is we're going to quickly head over to the workbench and we'll have a quick look at the engine. Alright guys, so here it is, and here is what you get in the box. Now, I took it out of the box because, let's face it, I mean, it's an engine. There's no fancy padding or anything like that, but we'll just get straight into it. So this is the engine, and yes guys, it says glow gas on the side there. That's why it is called a GGT 15. So this engine comes in two configurations. So this is the glow version, and there's also a spark ignition version. So it comes with a spark plug and an ignition module. I opted for this engine due to the model that it's going in because of, well, lack of space. So this engine, like I said, it runs on petrol, or for you Americans, gasoline, and you get your engine and you get your exhaust muffler, so it's called the power box. You get some fuel tubing and a fuel filter, and there's also, this is a pump for it. We'll get into that shortly. You get your glow plug, your exhaust bolts, some stickers, and your instruction manual in both English and Japanese for those playing at home. So one thing I want to point out to you, so if you're going to be if you buy one of these, so it does come with a glow plug. However, this is a special kind of glow plug designed for petrol gasoline engines. So if you buy one of these, don't think that you can use like a OS number 8 or an OS type F plug as a substitute, because especially if you look here, this is the 4-stroke OS 4-stroke glow plug, and you look at this, it looks very basically the same. It's obvious. I would say what they've done is they've basically used the same glow plug itself as the 4-stroke, but what separates these plugs from this is the element used inside. So this is a special coil element inside, intended for petrol engines instead of glow fuel. So you can't use these guys as a substitute. So it is called from memory, I think it's called it's a G5 plug. So that is the plug that will work with this engine. So this engine, you're probably wondering what I'm going to be putting it into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause, and we will go over behind me and we'll have a quick look at what it's going to go in. So guys, this is what the engine will be going in. This is a Seagull Models Turbo Beaver, and the engine that's in it is a OS 95AX. Now, a little quick backstory with this model. I didn't build this model. This actually used to belong to a club member and close friend of mine, and unfortunately he passed away some time ago, and he never ever got to see this model fly. I remember when he built this, and I remember going over to his place the very first time to start the engine on this, and it never ever ran right from the get-go. And I've only flown this model, I think 3, maybe 4 times at best, purely because of this engine. Now, those that know me close will know that I love my OS engines. When I got into the radio control hobby, my first car, I mean, it was a Kyosho, but every car since then has had a OS engine, and with my planes I've had OS engines in them, and with the exception of a few. But this 95AX, there's no other way of putting it, it has been an absolute pig of a thing from day one. The very first time we started it, we just couldn't get it to run right. And I know there are going to be some armchair experts saying, oh, you just don't know how to tune. Guys, I have been around blow engines for over 20 years, and this thing has been an absolute nightmare. And so I want to put this GGT 15 engine in it, not because, partly because I want something that's a bit more reliable than this, because I've gone on forums and there have been multiple people talking about tuning issues and running issues, and like, no matter what I do, this engine runs hot, and it has always ran hot. I've changed props, I have changed fuel, I've stuffed around with the mixture needle, and it just doesn't run right. And so given the sentimental value of this model, and because I don't want this model to be destroyed, like I said, it's the sentimental value of it. So with this model, the GGT 15 will be going in it, and so because of that, because it was built with glow, we're going to have to do a few changes. So obviously I have to change the tank, and I'm going to have to obviously change the fuel tubing. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, you're probably wondering, why do we need to change the fuel tubing? I'm glad you asked. So with glow engines, they have to run on silicon fuel tubing, because if you run Tygon fuel tubing, because I don't, here's a little offcut here. So this is Tygon fuel tubing. It's like almost like a hard plastic. If you use this on nitro fuel, the methanol will eat away at the fuel tubing. And it's also the other way around. So if you're running a petrol gasoline engine, and you if you use silicon fuel tubing, the petroleum will eat away at the silicon fuel tube. And that's another reason why, if you have, say for instance, a like lawnmower, leaf blower that runs on a 2-stroke fuel, or 4-stroke is 4-stroke, it'll usually tell you on the fuel cap not to run ethanol based fuel, because unlike your average car that has steel fuel lines, your lawnmower and leaf blower and whippersnipper and things like that will have Tygon fuel tube, and ethanol will eat this away. Little factoid for you. So what we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to do this off camera, and I'm going to go about swapping out the engine for the GGT 15, change the fuel tank because the tank that is with it, you can't do anything with it because it's all set up for glow fuel. And we'll be back with the engine installed and hopefully do the first start. Alrighty guys, so we have the engine installed. Now honestly, it was pretty much the easiest engine install / replacement that I have done, because the 95 AX is basically the same size as the GGT 15. So when you work it out, do like a conversion, 15cc is the equivalent of 0.91 cubic inch, so this would be classed as a 91. So but the engine itself, like the head area, is actually physically bigger, which is understandable because it needs a bigger cooling head because it's a different fuel source. Now I want to make it very clear right now that this is not going to be how I have the fuel tubing situation set up. This is purely for its very first start. So if we look over here, the pump is loosely mounted, and I just have this disconnected from the pump at the moment so I can fill the tank. I'm not going to fill the tank fully, but I'll then connect it to the pump. I have a Dubro quick fill valve coming, so it'll be mounted around here on the cowl. So I'll replace the fuel, because then I have more fuel tubing coming. So fuel tubing will go from the tank to the valve to the pump. So I've done that. I'm using a Dubro 10-ounce tank. They recommend a 200cc tank, so this is about 300cc-ish. Yeah, and obviously I don't have the cone on at the moment. I just want to make sure everything's fine. I have not touched the idle mixture screw. I've checked the main needle valve, make sure it's running is set. So they recommend between 2.5 and 3 turns out from the closed position. So what I'll quickly do now, guys, is I will set the throws on the servo with my radio, and hopefully we'll have a first start. Alright guys, we got it all set up, it's all tied down, put some fuel in. Now haven't primed it yet, so I'm not sure how it's going to work, but it just says to start turning it over. I'm guessing the fuel pump has something to do with that. So I'm traditionally with a glow engine, like a traditional glow engine, you would before you put the glow heater on, you would either block the exhaust or block the venturi on the carb, give it some throttle, spin it over, and it would draw fuel through. Then you put your glow stick on, and then off you go. So this is all foreign to me. So what I'm going to do is going to set the camera up and see how we go. All right, glow is on. Set there just in case. Right, here goes nothing, I guess. Okay, fuel's being drawn in. It's coughing. It's a positive sign, guys. I'll just give it a little bit of throttle, because I haven't set the throttle yet. has something to do with it. Well guys, that I'm going to say is a very good first attempt. I'm going to pause it here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just have a look over the instructions regarding different temperatures. As I am recording this, it is the 19th of May, and here in Australia that is obviously being in the southern hemisphere, it is autumn for us, and June next month is winter. So I'm just going, I might adjust the fuel mixture a little bit, but what's going to happen now in between this clip and off camera and the next clip is I'm going to have it all plumbed up properly. I'm going to have the fuel pump set properly, and it'll have the cowl on, and so through the magic of video editing we will be at the airfield ready for flight. Alright guys, we are at the airfield. I've just filled up. So what I'm going to do off camera is I'm just going to get it started, do a range check, and we'll skip to hopefully a successful flight. So here goes nothing. Alright guys, so here we go. So it's set slightly ridge, so we'll see how we go. So the instructions say to avoid full throttle flight or full throttle power for first 10 tanks. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my best to keep the plane close so you can see it, because with my GoPro I still haven't sorted out the issues with viewing, but that is half throttle, and what OS recommends is 10 flights for the break-in procedure, and they say nothing very exciting, just set the mixture slightly rich, which is what I've done. It's probably a little bit probably about 2.2 turns I've got it set, because they say about 200 RPM off full RPM, and And I tell you, they say just to leave it like that and just fly it, and this is going great. Now I don't know what fuel consumption is going to be like, because I know with the old 95AX it was a bit of a gas guzzler, so I'm hoping that this is a little bit better on fuel. And so far I am impressed. So I'm just cruising around, because I mean the Turbo Beaver, it's not a aerobatic model. Do another low pass. But it sounds like a typical glow engine. It doesn't have that like petrol gasoline sound. It just sounds like a normal normal glow engine that runs on nitro fuel. And yeah, it's brilliant. So that's probably a little low under half throttle. But this is flying beautifully with this engine. And I know because like I mentioned, I only flew this model a few times with the old engine, and even with the 95AX it was just overpowered. Like this thing, like I'd fly it on quarter throttle and it'd just be screaming around the skies. But this is perfect. Now when I did the first startup, I had a 15x6 prop. I have put a 14x8 on it, just so the engine's not struggling for RPM. And because the 95AX was swinging a 15.6, and this is a 14x8 that's on it now for this flight, and I'm happy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it in. Oop, bit of a bounce. Might have needed to use the flaps on that. Might be a touch nose heavy. Yep. She's a touch nose heavy, guys. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wheel it back into the pits and we'll check the fuel tank. Well guys, I don't know if you can see inside there. There's the fuel tank, and if I have the model leveled, it's barely used an eighth of a tank just in that flight. And like I said, I was only flying barely half throttle most of the time. Like I used full throttle to get it off the ground and to get the airspeed up and up into the air. But most of that flight was maybe between a little over half throttle and a bit under half throttle. But honestly guys, I mean, I am impressed with that. It flew smoothly. It was, yeah, I'm so happy
that I have put this engine in this plane, because like I said, you know, this model belonged to a friend of mine who passed away that he never got to see fly, so the sentimental value of it is pretty high. But yeah, I think this is a perfect match for this model. I'm gonna have, as you saw there as I brought it around, it was you know, bouncing like that, and I have a feeling it's a bit nose heavy. I think this engine's a little bit heavier than the 95AX, which I mean isn't too much to worry about. A slightly nose heavy model is a lot easier to fly, and something like this, flying at scale, isn't too bad. But I may have to put a little bit of lead up the back there just to fix it up a bit, just a bit. So what I'm going to do, guys, I am going to pause it here. I might have another flight off camera, but there's a few things I need to address back in the workbench. So stay tuned for a sec, guys.
Well, guys, that has been a successful first, well, you saw the first flight. I had another flight afterwards. The weather started to come in a bit crap. There's no other way of putting it. So I had another flight afterwards, and look, honestly, that engine, I'm so happy that I have put that engine into that model. But I'll be honest straight up now, compared to the 95AX when that engine was running, the GGT 15 doesn't have as much power as the 95AX, but honestly, for that turbo beaver, it doesn't need a ton of power. It's a model, it's a scale model, it's not an aerobatic model, and for just casually flying around and enjoying it, that engine is perfect for it. Now, I did say that there are a couple of things I needed to address. So with the engine itself, if you're getting one of these, everything that you know about tuning glow engines, it's completely different. Of course, it is a pumped engine and it has a fuel pressure, it has a regulator sort of thing on the carburetor. You can't tune it the same way as you would with a traditional glow engine. You still got to tune it and so forth so that it runs properly. However, you've got to just spend a little bit of time tuning it, but the tuning window for it is pretty big. And honestly, like, I had it set on the slightly rich side and it was making plenty of power. The engine was at a nice temperature where it wasn't too hot, and like, I was just flying around at about half throttle most of the time. Now, the other thing I need to address, so as you saw when I had the engine on the bench, you saw that it has a pump. Now, in the pictures you see, and I'll put a picture up now, as you saw, the pump was mounted on the back plate. Now, when I first got that engine and went to put the pump on there, on the back plate, there was no thread. I thought, strange. And from what I could gather from the instructions, you don't actually have to have it mounted on the back plate. However, and as you saw when I did the very first initial start, it was kind of up against the firewall, and it worked. However, when I went to do another test, and when I put the Dubro quick fill plug in, it didn't quite work properly. So what I did is I have a thread tapping set, And what I did is I got a 3mm thread tapper, and very carefully I blocked off the little nipple that creates the pressure to work the pump. I blocked that off and very carefully tapped a thread into each hole where you would put the screws to mount the fuel pump. And I'll show you a pic of that now. So I did that, and it made a dramatic difference to how the engine performed. So if you have one of these and you have a thread tapping set, I would recommend that you tap out, and if the engine, I don't know if mine was just a Monday morning assembly or a Friday afternoon special where they'd forgot to put the threads in, but if yours doesn't have threads on the back plate to mount the pump, I suggest that you carefully tap those threads in and mount the pump on that back plate, because it made a big difference to how the engine ran. But all in all, guys, I am happy with that engine. Still got to do, probably another 10. I'm going to do another 10 flights, because it uses bugger all fuel, which is really good. So I'm happy with it. I'm happy that the Turbo Beaver flies great with it, because now I can fly it confidently and not have to worry about the engine cutting out and destroying a model that was built by a dear friend of mine. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If you have any questions about the engine, don't hesitate to drop a comment. I will do my best to reply to your comments. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy your hobby and cheers.